Da, 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 da. We're back. 1, 2. Check. There. Hi, friends. Great to see you. Nice to be seen. Who's that guy? Who's that guy? Who's that guy? Lachlan Cross is back, ladies and gentlemen. We didn't talk for 2 solid weeks, like not a word until this morning. He had a break from me. I had a break from him. He had a break from Canada. I had a break from Ontario. We're talking UFOs today. We're talking wellness today. We're talking pivots today. We're talking food today. You look bronze, dude. Very bronze.
You know what? I feel really good. We'll get into it a little bit. I want to start with the UFO, and we have a special guest actually, because this is what I've been teasing for the last week and a half. But
let's tell people where you were first, right?
Yes,
That's
where I'll start. Okay,
people missed you, dude. People missed you. I missed you. You don't know what you have until it's gone. That came to mind. You had me at hello. That came to mind. You complete me. That also came to mind. So I'm really happy to see you today.
No, I'm glad to be back. It was probably the most transformative 2 weeks of my life. And I'm not saying that lightly. I don't have words for it right now. I'm going to sit down because I want to write a review of the Kootenai Yoga School and what I went through in Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do that Saturday. That's kind of my plan. I need some time to sit and dwell on what I experienced.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, I broke my tailbone when I was 40. By the time I was 41, after being told by multiple people that I should get into yoga to try to fix it, I said, screw it. I guess I'll try yoga. But I was not a yogi. I never did it. My exercise I got from activities, right?
Mm-hmm.
I played hockey. I played volleyball. I played basketball. I played baseball, softball.
Yeah, active young man. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And that's how and I didn't have a gym membership. And any sport that involved drinking too, I gravitated towards. So I picked up golf in my 30s, right?
Darts. Yeah.
Darts, great sport for
Any
drinking.
Social where you could go and move around a little bit. Hey, listen, is exercise? Yeah, it sure is. But if there's alcohol there, that exercise is like a little more motivational, right? Because you get to have a drink while you're actually exercising. Lawn darts, golf, doesn't matter what it is. I get it. It's social lubricant. Totally understand. Yeah,
absolutely. So anyway, I got into yoga to help fix an injury. Mm-hmm. And I started doing tapes in my basement. Ian Finn, shout out to Ian Finn out of Vancouver. That was the first tape I did. And I kind of stuck with that tape for just a DVD in the basement on the TV by myself. Didn't tell anybody that I was doing it, right? Your friends will make fun of you, right? Oh, you're a yogi? What the hell? You wear the yogi pants?
Dude. Anyway, seriously. Yeah, it's got that thing in the male community, right? You're sort of an archetype that doesn't exist, which is cool.
But that's kind of shifting. There's a shift definitely in that regard. So anyway, I did it for about a year and a half, 2 years before I went to a studio. When I went to a studio, I said that's it. I'm doing this for the rest of my life. A couple of years later, I started thinking about how I'd like to get into a position where I taught and sort of expand my practice. But I kept putting it off. I would do a little bit of research. I would put it off, do a little bit more research, put it off. I got fired. And when I got fired, I legitimately, the night I got fired, I started researching it because I'm like, this is my time to do this. This is a sign from the gods.
Yeah, for sure.
And I did some research about local places. I did research places overseas. And then I found this one Kootenai Yoga School, and it was a camp in Christina Lake where I grew up. And I went, well, that makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. I'm in this transformative part of my life. I got all this change. Maybe I'll go back to where I grew up and I'll do it.
Yeah, the universe has given you an opportunity to go, you know what? I want to go do exactly what I want to do. It doesn't happen very often, right? Where we get a thing visited on us, we look at it in a negative way and we're like, oh my God, my life's changing. But, I'm a firm believer that sometimes the universe delivers that stuff to you for a fucking reason, right? And in whatever that reason is, could be financial, it could be motivational, it could be spiritual. And unless, we get into these silos, right? Like guys like you and I, we're creatures of habit. We like the same beer. We like the same clubhouse sandwich. We go to the same bars, same routes to different things. And then one day you realize, oh my God, I don't have to be a slave to those patterns. I don't have to be a slave to that thinking. I don't have to be a slave to just thinking this is who I am and this is all I do. And then you step out, and that's what you're talking about. You said, okay, the universe is speaking to me. This has been a horrific year, and I have an opportunity to go and just blow my mind up with information and experience that people like me traditionally don't do, right? But it was for you. It was for you because you've been on this journey. Okay, I follow. Yeah.
Okay. Well, and when you and I spoke, what did I tell you? I said, I'm not going to let this really negative thing impact me.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to be positive, right? I didn't want that fire. I didn't want to sit in a negative place after getting shit canned from Cruz. Okay. So I was trying to find ways to make it a positive thing. I go on the webpage. I'm doing some research on this camping thing that they do, this yoga retreat, 2 weeks, 200 hours, YTT, intensive, in the woods. Great pictures, awesome write-up. And I see this schedule on the webpage, Kootenai Yoga School webpage. If you want, I'll send you the link. Send me a note. But I click on the schedule, and I'm going, oh, they offer programs in like outside of this one area. And there was one in Mexico. So I kind of looked at that one, and I saw the dates and everything like that. And then the one in Christina Lake was in July.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I kind of wanted to do it a little bit earlier. I got shit canned on February 29th. So I wanted something a little sooner. And so I looked at it, and there was one for the beginning of May in Joshua Tree. Yeah. Clicked on that. And I had just this rush of adrenaline as soon as I saw it. And I ran downstairs. I grabbed my wife, and I said, you got to come up here. You got to see this. I found it. I found the place. And I was so excited. I'm having the same chills right now just talking about it. I had a connection with it. I don't know what it was.
That's awesome.
I was drawn to it. I literally sent a note right away. They had like a chat function on there. I sent a note to them. And the woman that runs it, I don't know why, maybe it was good timing or something, called me on my phone. And I ended up on the phone with Lisa, one of the founders of Kootenai Yoga School. And we chatted for an hour and a half, I think. And I'm like, I'm in. I threw my money at it, and it was unbelievable. Now, okay, the UFO thing, let's get into that, because I want to talk a little bit more about the yoga and about where my head's at after having done that for the last 2 weeks. But,
okay, so wait a second. You got back yesterday, right? Transformative experience. We'll get into the transformative experience, but you just laid some tracks, and I want to pay attention to those just for a quick second before we get to the UFO. Lachlan, and I'm a big fan of what you did, right? And it's a big swing for a guy like you, comfortable in your place, don't have to do it. You went and did something in a vulnerable state, in a time in your life where you were very unsure, but you knew that something spoke to you about doing this, and you had to go and do it. Right. There are so many people out there that I talk to on a daily basis that are coming out of media, that are coming out of jobs, coming out of long-term experiences that ended negatively, that don't advocate for themselves by doing things for themselves. Right. And the example that you're setting motivates even people like me. You're in Joshua Tree. I'm back here. I was in Calgary. We'll get to that, I'm sure, at some point over the next little bit. And I'm thinking, my God, Am I kind of in the same boat that Lachlan was in before he decided to fucking do something for himself? Like, am I in that same kind of mindset of just a slave to, mobs, groups, algorithms, jobs, money, all of those things? Like, who am I in this for? What am I doing this for? So, I mean, just kudos to you. And thank you for doing that, because it's made me think a little bit differently. So good for you. You didn't know it. You're a motivational guy just by your actions. Way to go.
Can I say something though? I want to say this, and because sure. I'm triggered's the wrong word, but I'm at a place in my life where I'm trying to find ways to give back, because I've been very selfish my whole life. I've always gotten what I wanted, right? For the most part. And when I didn't get what I wanted, I used my overbearing personality to get a version of what I thought I should deserved. Is that fair? And so this was about me.
It's
and this
fair.
was
It's
selfish.
fair, and it's also really honest, right?
But I mean, I know this because of I've been very lucky that I've had these opportunities, right? And other people have sacrificed their around me to get me where I am. My wife, my kids, right? So this was about me, but I also want to get to a point in life where I feel good about giving something back. And this was what that was for me. I know it was a selfish 2 weeks and it was transformative, but I feel very strongly about making sure that I actually teach yoga and that I give people something that I've learned, and hopefully I'll be able to help some people with what I've learned from yoga over the last 13 years, 14 years.
Oh, good for you.
And I'm going to teach. I'm going to start teaching immediately.
Are you serious? You're going to start teaching?
No, I'm 100%.
So are you going full into yoga teaching? Are you going to get a studio? Are you going to do that kind of stuff?
Well, I'm going to do it part-time, but it's going to be part of my life, right? I'm going to find time to do it outside of podcasting. I'm teaching. I'm going camping this weekend with Grant in his new place and everything. I sent them a note and I said, I'm teaching a class Sunday morning. Everybody come out. Bring your mats when you go out this weekend to Grant's new place. So I'm going to do that. I had a brilliant idea while I was in Joshua Tree on one of the sessions we had. We talked about the business of yoga, and people were bringing up different examples of how to get into it and get started. I'm going to do free classes. I got to find a place in Edmonton, but starting in June, I'm going to do free classes. I'm going to advertise it online and people can come out. More details on that coming up. But that's my goal, is to teach at least once or twice, maybe 3 times a week, probably for the rest of my life.
Do you know how many people? Oh, fuck, dude, it's so awesome to hear you talk like this. So often you see people that think that they're at the end of something, right?
Yeah.
And they're too tired. They're too beat up. They're too sad to move on. And in radio, that is a big deal. There are a lot of people who die early in radio, right? There are a lot of people who just kind of go, life's too hard. Don't want to do it. Don't want to try something else. This is who I am.
They get into a loop of negativity.
Big time feedback loop. And you and I talked about that loop of negativity and what it does to you, right? Yeah. And again, going back to the example that you're setting of being able to be vulnerable enough to go, you know what? I don't care what anybody says about me wanting to do this. I want to be a yoga teacher. I want to go teach yoga. You came out of a business where you're rewarded for fame, you're rewarded for outrageousness, you're rewarded for the things you say. Listen, it's an easy job. Yoga is not an easy job. You've literally at 54 decided not just to take control of your life, but you've decided you're going to be the best version, whatever it is that you want to be that day, because those are the things that make you happy, right? Like, and this is systemic because we have so many.
True.
Yeah, we have so many people that are running around. I'm the same cat. I'm like you. There are so many people in their 40s and 50s like you that they believe they outrun their use. They believe they outrun their hope. They believe they outrun their earning potential. And they go, they never sit down and go, what do you want to do? What makes you happy? And a guy like you, to be able to say yoga makes me happy. And I feel like I can give back with yoga. And I can also turn this into a business. To start from scratch, start from zero, to have nothing and then go to something. And for that to be your happiness and joy, and for you to go, hey, this is my hobby as well as my business. My God, the autonomy that you've created for yourself, the confidence and capability that you're showing yourself, this is the life that people need to live, right? The life of capability. What can I do? Not what do I want to do? It's what do I want to do and what can I do and will I go and do it? And there are people that are too beat up to even try. So I'm really grateful to hear you talking about this today. For not just me, not just you, not just sharing it, but for everybody who listens to this podcast. It's awesome.
And I got to say this too, and this is going to be in my review that I do for the Kootenai Yoga School. I always felt like I may have been a, the square peg in a round hole kind of yogi. So I put it off getting the teacher training, the YTT, because I wasn't sure that I fit into that world. After having gone down there, I'm more convinced that I can be a part of that world. They focus so much on the individual and your own authenticity. And it just it inspired me. Like I'm excited now. There's no nerves, nothing. I want to start teaching as soon as I possibly can.
How different do you feel from when you went?
Man.
Like, what do you know that what has fallen off, and what do you have? You know, what are some of the things that have fallen off? What are some of the
well, I got to slow down.
Grounding, I
have to slow down because I've never felt that relaxed. I don't remember a time. And you know what? I went down there and I said to myself, I'm gonna keep an open mind. I'm just gonna get down there. I'm gonna take it all in, and we're gonna see how this rolls out for me. And to be honest, there was a couple of days where I was a little twitchy because I get up. You know me. I get up, I'm like, boom, 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 boom. Every time you're on the phone with me, like you call me multitasking Locke. I'm doing 9 things.
Yeah, I've never had more in-depth conversations with people on ladders, replacing vents for dryers, and fixing the ball bearings in their wheels, like in my entire fucking life. And you were always distracted. That's what I noticed about you. If I could. What I noticed about you is
very distracted.
That you got real busy.
Not present a lot of times.
Yeah, you got so busy to distract yourself because you're like, I need to be doing something because I don't want to be. And you're like me that way because, you know, an idle mind means the monkeys are going to come to town and you're just going to sit there in fits and get angry and think about resentment and all those other things. So you make yourself busy.
Yeah.
That's pretty systemic, right?
Yeah. And so you had some time on your hands down there. I didn't have any chores to do. I didn't have any laundry to do. And you have to sit with yourself. And my next sort of journey in yoga is to figure out that meditation piece because I'm not there yet.
That's practice,
dude. This still goes.
Okay.
100 miles an hour.
Kudos. I want to get into over the next little bit, obviously, what you've learned, how it changed you. I think that's something you're still processing too.
Yes,
right?
It is.
But I also want to get to the fucking UFO story. And I also want to meet some people that you were there with just to see how old Locker did down at Joshua Tree. And you brought a guest today, correct?
I did. And the reason I'm bringing Sarah is because
put up with your shit.
But she put up with my shit. And she was a big part of my experience down there. She's unbelievable. And you can't help falling in love with this woman. She's amazing. She lights up every room she walks into. And she was there when I saw the UFO. Okay. And she's the only one out of the group of 12, 13 of us that actually witnessed what I witnessed. And so let's bring her on. We'll introduce her.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sarah.
Hello.
Hi, Sarah. Nice to meet you. I know we met in the green room just before the podcast. Did Lachlan behave himself, first of all? Was he, like, at any point in time, did he get written up? Just a quick question before we get started. Did he ever get, like, a yogi detention? Did you catch him sneaking beers? Like that kind of stuff.
He didn't get written up, but he did have some I think some difficulty with the silent breakfast that we practice every morning.
Okay.
So he may have been told to be a little quieter early in the mornings.
Yeah. Silent breakfast was a chore.
What is silent breakfast? Explain that. What is it?
We eat breakfast in silence, so everybody still sits around the table.
I totally understand the overarching theme, eating breakfast in silence. But what happens? Like, is it a mandate? No one can talk to each other when you go for breakfast? Is that the deal?
That's the idea. It's that, like, we're being around each other still, but without using words. So you can really like kind of soak in the practice that we just did, like really enjoy the food and kind of stay in your own space. Okay. After our practice in the morning.
Okay, well that makes sense. And Lachlan, first few days was like, "Hey, does anybody want to talk about the toast?" Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, every day. And I think he said thank you every morning for breakfast too. Like, so it's nice words that he was using. And
did you get in trouble for saying thank you during silent breakfast? You can't even do that. How do you thank?
No, she's not saying that. Not talk about the gratitude. We had an interesting group. We had our group gelled really quickly.
Yeah.
And it's a wide, Sarah, there was a wide range. It was like from the age of 20 to 54. I was the oldest, but there was definitely the dad figure. I was the dad figure. And then there was a mom figure, and then all the kids. And we all struggled. Well, not everybody, but there was a struggle not to chat because we were so connected, right? So
it was actually so cute. Yeah, like the group really, I think, could not resist like chatting with each other, and throughout the whole time it was like that. Like after the first day, everyone really bonded, and yeah, I think it was like a really unique group.
Okay, so it's 14 solid days of intense yogi training. Lachlan passes. Is he good at yoga? Like, is he good at what he does? Does he understand it? Because he sent me a text. He goes, I'm going to be a great fucking teacher, by the way. And I'm like, I love the confidence, but I it's just him telling me. And Lachlan tells me things. And sometimes, like, I tell Lachlan things. We tell each other things. It's like, I'm the best at this. And you're like, okay, that's just you. But does he have what it takes? Like, that you saw? Is he's 54. He's going into this beautiful new stage in his life. He's writing a new chapter in the novel of Lachlan Cross. How is he at the game, though? Is he good?
He's good. I took 2 of his classes. He did his practicum that we like. You teach a class like as a practice, Sure. So it was awesome. He's a great leader. He uses like clear, concise cues, and his flows are really nice. We did one all together also on the last day. I see your face, but
no, you tripped me up with his cues are clear and concise.
On it was. It's actually the probably like the most concise I've seen him.
Dude, you're in the wrong game. You need to get out of the podcast interview question asking game. You need to get into the podcast yogi game. That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
That might come. I might get to a point where I'm doing, because before I went, I really immersed myself in yoga. And I was listening to a ton of yogi podcasts. And listen, I found some good ones, but yogis are not great at podcasts. I don't know, Sarah, would you agree with me on that? They're not, it's not a strong suit.
Yeah, probably. Like not so much talking again, the silent yogis, I guess. Yeah, not so much on the podcast.
No.
I got a couple questions before we get to the UFO sighting, which I don't necessarily believe, but I'm capable of being turned over. How did he do with not drinking for 9 days?
He did really well.
How did you do, Lachlan? That's a big piece. We haven't talked about that yet.
Well, I you know what? I had 3 concerns when I went down there, because we got sent these videos, anatomy videos, and that's not a strength of mine. And so I started watching on the plane, and I was like, oh no, I'm in trouble. What have I got myself into? Because you can get very technical with yoga. And I thought, man, I'm in the wrong thing. I might be in the wrong thing. But you know what? Having a basic knowledge of it, I think, is important. I don't need to be a doctor to teach yoga. So that became quite clear very early on. The second thing I was concerned about was the food, because it's a Yoga Alliance program. So it's a no harm. It's one of the 8 limbs. One of the yamas or niyamas. It's one of the yamas.
She's shaking her head. Right? Yama, niyama.
Well,
I don't know what those are. I don't know what 8 limbs are. So any food you eat can't have been harmed, right? Is that correct?
Exactly.
Yes. So it's one of the hymns says, so you have to follow that from the diet perspective. So I was a little concerned about that.
So no
and
chicken,
then the drinking
no chicken,
thing,
no beef, no meat, none of that stuff, right? No
animal products, nothing.
Okay, yeah, I get it. That's cool.
Yeah. But they have Addie and Giel were cooking full time. They would show up at like 5:30 in the morning, and they would start preparing meals for the day. And I gotta tell you, when you're eating clean like that, there's no snacking. You don't feel any urges, nothing. Dean, it was unbelievable. And then we had a day off where we went into the city, and I may have had a burger. So I did, 9 days in, I had a burger and a beer when we went out. and I wasn't missing any of it. Like none of it was a problem.
Yeah, that was the thing because like that's what I wanted to ask you because we're creatures of habit, right? You are, I am. That was one of the concerns you went with because you love to have a couple cocktails at night or a few beers before you go to bed, and we can joke around about it, but it's a coping mechanism for a lot of people, right? There are so many of us that use, and you take someone out of that comfort zone and you remove that coping mechanism for 9 days. It doesn't matter why you're doing it, but the fact that you did it, I was fascinated as to how you felt. Like, did you have urges?
I felt amazing.
Did you really?
The whole time I was down
like, did it make you think twice when you have that first beer? You had a beer and a burger. You have like, did you think maybe I don't need booze at any point in time? Like, did that cross your mind or no?
No, I'm not there yet.
Like you
There's
didn't
a hockey game
going,
tonight.
I'm never. Yeah, it's game 5, right? Gotta watch game 5.
This game, there's a hockey game. I'll have an IPA.
Yeah, as you should. But like, did the whole experience in that make you go, maybe I don't need that coping mechanism as much? I wasn't
thinking about it. There was so much more on my mind than booze or coping or it's hard for me to put into words.
To answer that. All right.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad I did it. I would encourage anybody that's even ever remotely thought that this would be something that they would include in their lives that they should do this. And
good for you. Good for you. Can we get to the UFO story? Sarah, is he full of shit? What happened? Can you guys explain that to me? Because I just want to tell you, 17 miles from where you guys were, there's a famous UFO building called Integron. I don't know if you've heard of it. 17 miles. It was built by this psycho back in the 50s and 60s. And that's where you can go to get your chakra in order. And they think like aliens. So I'm well aware of all the alien activity or suspended alien activity.
It's been forever.
Yeah. It's been happening for
associated
decades.
with that area.
Yeah. So take me through it. What happened, guys?
Well, I'll explain because I think I saw it first, right, Sarah?
No, I saw it first. Oh, well, we saw it, I think, at the same time, but I spoke at the same time.
Well,
yeah, you said something
at the same time. Then, if you both saw it at the same time, you should start at the same time.
I'll start.
Right.
So it was Tuesday, May 6th or 7th, whatever that day was. Now we've been there a week. Okay, we're fully immersed. There was a barbecue at barbecue. When I say barbecue, we had like tofu dogs, which by the way are awful. I don't know how vegans have decided that that's a good thing. So anyway, we go to Joshua Tree National Park. Where the YTT training was just outside of Joshua Tree. So there's a little town that's associated with the park. And it's about a 15-minute drive, 10-15-minute drive from where we were to go to this small town. Great, cute little town. And then if you go to the park, it's another 5-10 minutes to get to the gates of the park. Yeah. So we go out as a group. Sarah plays the sound bowls, right? And we had a barbecue. We set up the sound bowls.
Like
we had
drums? It's kind of like steel drums. You play steel drums?
No.
Is that it?
They're like crystal bowls. So it's like what you would do like on a wine glass. You have like a little mallet that goes around, and they make they have all different tones.
And is that a wellness thing? Is that
yes?
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
like sound healing. So the different frequencies, like the different tones, they go for different chakras.
Okay. It's a chakra related thing. I get it. All right.
Yeah.
And Sarah could play them in that Integratron. What's it called?
Yeah, I want to go to this Integratron. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, I'll get a picture of it. Let me show you a picture. Have you guys seen a picture of this thing?
I looked at one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's based on sound therapy, right? It's based on the idea.
Yeah.
Here it is. This is built in 1951 by a dude named George Van Tassel, who said he was visited by aliens and told to build this thing. And it is
the blueprints were downloaded into his brain.
Yeah, by aliens is what he said, right? Yeah. And there have been massive sightings in and around that area over the past like 50, 60, 70 years, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Yes. And if you go into the town, I didn't know this until afterwards, but I actually did know about this area.
That's the inside of it, by the way. That's the inside of it. So they got those
are sound bowls.
Yeah, those
are
the
bowls. Yeah, those are the bowls.
Yeah, okay.
And it is the acoustics are perfect in this building, Dean. Like, and it is a very unique building from that regard. Like, whatever this guy did, however he got it, you can believe he got it from aliens. He built this thing, and people come from around the world to actually do things in that
For
thing.
sound
And it's
healing,
rented
is
out.
that
Yes. And
They do it
Sarah,
for sound
didn't
healing.
you look up the schedule? Like, it's booked all summer long.
It's packed. Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna try to find a day to go, but it seems like you have to book, really far in advance.
Yeah, it's
so? What's the idea?
amazing.
It's supposed to center you. It's supposed to heal you, like the sounds that you can create in there with those bowls. You sit back and it heals you on a cellular
It
level.
aligns
What's the
your
premise behind
chakras.
that? Yeah.
Yeah. So the vibration, like the different tones and vibration, it helps us to tune like our own frequency, our own cells vibrating like at a certain frequency,
Okay.
and our
That's
energetic
interesting.
body too.
So
Okay.
anyway, back to the story. We're at the Joshua Tree National Park, and okay, I'm down there for yoga, but I was joking when we were down there that I was really down there for aliens, because as a musician, I know a bunch of people. A bunch of musicians have talked about that area, Palm Springs, like Keith Richards, Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age. I don't know if anybody's a Graham Parsons fan, but Graham Parsons was drawn to that area. He actually passed away from an overdose in the 70s, if I remember, because he was only like 27, 28, 20. I think he might be a member of the 27 Club. He was into aliens. Like, he was a member of the Byrds. Anyway, there's a ton of musicians that over the years have talked about and bought property down there. So I've known about it from that perspective. So I joked with everybody that I was actually down there to see an alien, which makes this story even more unbelievable because I legit was saying it out loud. And when Sarah said, I'm going to bring the bowls out, the sound bowls, we're going to the park, I said, damn it, Sarah, we're bringing an alien in today. And she's like, we're bringing aliens
down
in.
for you, Lachlan.
Yeah. So we go to the park, and if you ever get a chance to do this, whether you believe in chakras or yoga or energies or any of that, I don't care. If you get a chance to sit in a room with somebody who's really good at it, and Sarah's awesome at it, if you get a chance to sit and you can actually get out of your own head for a second and just be in that room, be present in that room, it's an amazing experience. And not only that, we did it outdoors, and it filled that whole area. So we get in the car, it's really cold, the sun's coming down, we pack up, we head back, and we pile into the compound, okay? And I think we were going to have a fire. There was a conversation about having a fire and sitting around and talking about the day, blah, blah, blah. And so I was in a trailer. Andrew and I were in a trailer just on the outside of where we were all living. Like there was little trailers set up for everybody. And then there's the main kitchen area, which we walked through.
Kind of disappointed there wasn't a yurt. Like I thought I would have.
So there was a yurt.
Oh, there.
Yep.
Okay, sorry, I didn't. I thought there was no yurt. You're just saying trailers. I thought it was. The
There's
yoga
a yurt.
retreat should have a bunch of yurts, right?
There was a yurt.
Yeah,
Okay, good, I knew
there was one yurt. Yeah.
So anyway, so the trailers are where everyone stays. Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm walking through to get some, because I was a little cold. I wanted to get another layer. And I walk out into the middle of the compound, and I look up and I see a glowing ball in the sky. Now, I just for perspective, and Sarah and I talked about how big this was because I was trying to figure out how to explain it. If you take the moon on a full moon and take half of that, you have the size of whatever it is that Sarah and I saw. And I stopped in my tracks because it was huge.
Sarah,
Like, you know
Sarah wants input here. Sarah, you're dying to like kind of sidle up to Lachlan and bolster his story. Yeah, it's good explanation. What did you see as well? Same thing.
Yeah, same thing. It was the biggest like light that I've ever seen in the sky.
Really?
hands down.
Yeah, hands
And was
down.
it static? Was it moving? What was it doing?
No, it was right. It wasn't
It was
moving. It
just-
was just dead, and right in the right in the middle of the horizon.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it had a little line. I saw a little line through it. And I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. Well, I've been joking about this for a week now. You got to be joking. There can't be a UFO. And I that's what was going through my mind, because also Andrew, my bunkmate, was making fun of me. He goes, the guys that want to see them never see them. So I'm like, that was going through my mind as well. I'm like, because I desperately want to see and meet an alien. And I'm like, I'm never going to get a chance. So I see this thing and it's there. It's maybe 5 seconds before I turn around and I look over to see if anybody else is seeing this. And I make eye contact with Sarah, and Sarah goes, Lachlan, are you seeing this?
Yeah.
And boom, as soon as I look back up, it just went, and it kind of, the light went into itself.
Yes.
And it went, and was fucking gone. Almost like Sarah, it heard Sarah, and went, I'm out of here. Swear to God, the two of us saw it. We were just sitting there going, what the hell did we just see?
Like it evaporated. It looked like it took off going the other way. And how far was it? Oh, fuck. This is crazy.
Yeah. It was like it like sucked into itself.
Yes.
And then it was gone. It was really like.
Were you the only two people who saw it?
Yes.
Yes.
And you conjured these aliens with your spirit drums earlier, your sound drums. And you and Lachlan went there. So let's put this together. You and Lachlan go there. He wants to see it. You take out your sound drums. And you're like, let's go back to camp. You turn around and this thing appears like it's been conjured.
It was there.
So bright in the sky. And it was instant. Like after I said, like, Lachlan, are you seeing this? It was like it
was almost like it heard you.
It was like it heard me.
Yeah. And there was a little trail of something after it took off. Like I saw like wisps of something after it was gone as well. Like wisps of light. Okay, now it gets a little crazier. Yes, like something like
a trail. Yeah. You saw some kind of chemtrail like you would see from. Okay. Yeah. I'm just downloading this now, and I have no reason to not believe you, and I believe aliens exist on some level. But this is like, just you describing how this thing evaporated into itself, how it sucked into itself. There's so many fucking stories like that. Like if you watch Tom DeLonge and Steve Greer, they talk about that being one of the things that's so remarkable about UAPs, right? UAPs somehow have the ability to put on some kind of light show, or at the very least look like that light disappears into itself when it moves, right?
Yes. So, okay. So then Sarah and I went on to, we have a chat set up on WhatsApp. So everybody that was down there, that everybody's involved, all the students, everybody that's taking it are all on there. And Lisa, the organizer, who wasn't there, she was running a course in Mexico. She's in the group as well. So we say, Sarah and I legit saw something. Like we make a comment about it. Okay. Next morning, I don't know where Lisa found it. Maybe I should have sent her a note. And we had Lisa on the podcast before I went. What was that, Sarah?
I think she found it on a Facebook post on a group.
Don Wilson. I've been trying to find him on Facebook. He put a post up saying, hey, and I did some research on Don, Sarah. Okay. Don's a climber and lives in Joshua Tree.
Interesting.
And it has
so someone else
been in the area.
Gentleman Don Winslow or whatever his name is.
Don Wilson.
You go on, and he saw the same thing you saw, same night you saw it, same exact example of what you saw.
Same time. 9:15 he saw it. We saw it at 9:17.
Yeah.
And so they sent that note, just a screenshot of his Facebook post to the group. And we saw that the next morning, the Wednesday, which I think was our day off, if I'm not mistaken. So we were, and then I go into the city and I'm realizing we go into the town, not the city, Joshua Tree, and there's alien stuff like on everywhere. Stickers, on posters.
Oh, dude, that area of the world is such a hotbed for alien activity, or the reported alien activity. Like I when you said that note last week, you're like, dude, I think it was the night that it happened. You must have. You sent it to me like, I fucking saw an alien. Like I saw a fucking UFO.
I saw something.
And I have someone who can confirm what it was that we saw. Just one other person, which is you, Sarah. It's so nice to have you here. But there are so many reported stories like that. But they, when people see them, they say it changes them, right? They say like, oh my God, like what I saw, I can't explain because it doesn't fit with anything that I've ever seen do any of that stuff. But that area of the world, there are like fucking legitimate true believers there, like real true believers who have multiple stories of UAPs visiting them, fucking triangles flying across the sky, right? Like it's fucking amazing that you got to see it because like one thing, Sarah, and listen, the wellness community, you can say what you like about it. But Lachlan is one of those guys that he needs receipts like me. He's one of those guys that doesn't believe shit, but he also is a big fan of these stories about UAPs. And we're seeing, the Pentagon the other day reached into Canada. They said, we need a contact when it comes to UFOs and UAPs and stories that we're trying to curate. Cause in the United States, they have to put this information out.
I didn't see that.
It's part of the deal. Yeah. And so there's a news story the other day. My girlfriend sent it to me. She's like, get this, because she's into UFOs too. And I'm like, oh my God, that's fucking unbelievable. Like the United States is reaching into Canada saying, we need information about your UAPs and phenomenons that you've seen, because we're going to be putting out a whole bunch of stuff this year. And there's a guy, I think his name's Patrick Juno. He's the dude here in Canada. And he's been with like Aerospace Canada for a long time. And he's like, yeah, man, there's shit out there for real. Like there's no way that there isn't. But it doesn't leave you any less shook, I imagine, Sarah, when you see something like that if you've never seen it before, right? It doesn't.
I was so excited. And yeah, it's something that like I feel, I'm sure, of course, there's aliens or some other life forms like in other places. But yeah, to see it is really cool. It's like a confirmation. And I hope I see more.
So does Lachlan.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
What would you do? Question. What would you do if that light like literally landed just outside the compound and some dudes came over and they're like, want to go for a ride, Lock? We know you're a big fan. Would you get in that thing? No,
I'm getting in and I'll be the conduit for mankind.
Yes.
That's fucking unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I told you when I said Dean, because you were like, yeah, whatever. You want to talk about aliens? I'm like, no. I desperately want to talk about my experience in the desert. Like, because it was, like I said, it was transformative. But I said the first podcast we do has to be about aliens.
Yeah, fuck, it totally was. It was about aliens and wellness after the age of 50. It was a good one. Do you? Let me ask you a question. Do you think that's why Locke? Do you think that's why you were drawn to, just out of the blue?
I do. I think
because so many different places you could have gone to do this YTP, and you set your eyes on the horizon of the Joshua Tree, which is well-known alien activity area, and you're like, I feel it. You said this to me. You called me that day. You're like, I can't explain it, dude. I just feel super drawn to go there. And it's not just about the yoga, right? Like I just feel very familiar, comfortable, drawn to that space. Do you think that was
and you know what? And part of the reason, like Sarah and I have a very similar story about this place. I mean, there's something about it. I mean, we talked about this a couple of times when we were down there doing the YTT together. That there's something about that place, Sarah. I don't know. It's hard to articulate.
You feel that too, Sarah? You feel that same draw? You felt that same closeness?
I feel it so much. I love to be in Joshua Tree. Like there is just a special, it's hard to describe in words, but when
vibration,
I'm here,
feeling, what is it?
Feeling, yeah, like a feeling
of
it's like a stillness, an expansiveness, but like really high frequency as well. Like even there's I don't know, like a electric post outside my house, but it buzzes, it like zaps all day, and at night you can see the electricity in it. So I feel like there's, I don't know, extra electricity or light or something here. There's so many crystal quartz too in the ground.
Yeah.
So those are like energy amplifiers. So I feel like, it moves really fast or something here.
I felt so grounded there. Again, and I don't want to get too hippie about it, but I was getting up every morning. I was lucky enough to get up early the first morning
Talking too
we
much
got
at
there
quiet breakfast, by the way. Just wanted to remind you of that.
on the Tuesday we got there. We flew in, then we did sort of like a first meeting the Tuesday night, hung out a bit, getting to know each other. On Wednesday morning, I got up and I was wide awake, 5:15, and I looked out of the window of the camper that I was staying in, the trailer that I was staying, and I could see the sun coming up, and I'm like, I'm gonna go for a walk. Like, that looks amazing. And there's just the colors and everything is so intense. And so I got dressed and I went for just a walk, maybe a 15-25 minute walk. My wife loves trees, and the Joshua trees down there are amazing. They're unbelievable. And so I took a picture, and then I did it every morning after that. I would get up, I would do a sunrise walk is what I called it. And I would take a picture of a different tree and I would send it to my wife. But just those walks, I'm so hard to explain. I was like no alarms, wide awake. Oh, sunrise walk. And I would do that before our 7 a.m. yoga every morning.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. It's such a special place. Even that the trees, the Joshua trees, like there's, I think maybe one other place in the world that has them, but there's nowhere else has these trees that are like this.
They're magic. Maybe they're magic phenomenal. UFO trees. Maybe the aliens planted the Joshua trees. You don't know. That's why you feel like maybe you guys have alien DNA in yourselves. Like that. That's maybe you are. Maybe you don't. I think Lachlan's one of the most unique individuals in the world. So there's a good chance he might have a little alien DNA in him.
Well, yeah. And you know what? And Sarah, we don't need to get into this because I know that you have there's more to this story, and I know Sarah doesn't want to talk about it, but I think people that have a connection with alien life or whatever are drawn to that place, and I am definitely one of those people as well.
Are you too? Sarah, you one of those people that's drawn to alien stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, I always have been my whole life. It fascinates me, and I kind of have the idea, like I would love to talk with aliens or like communicate with them more. And this place, it seems possible. Like even dreams and stuff here, I have really vivid dreams. I'll share one. Last night, I woke up in the middle of the night to somebody saying my name. Like it was like somebody was in my room, but then I woke up and like there was nobody here. But it was like around I think 3:30 or 4 in the morning, and it was like very clear that like I could hear my name, and then it was nothing. But I don't know. I always have kind of strange experiences and dreams. My dad too actually came down last year and had
your dad came last year. He had the same thing, same experiences. Did he see aliens or just same dreams? Vivid
dreams of like somebody being in his room.
Yeah.
And then and he's just like, oh, it's just a dream. Like, you know, it's no big deal. But for me, I was kind of like, well, it's like a bit weird. Like, because he's never said that anywhere else. Like he hasn't had a dream like that before.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Did you have big dreams, dude? You have some big, weird, vivid dreams when you were there? Lock?
I slept like so hard. Did
you sleep longer than you normally do? Like, were you like 10 hours out?
No, I wasn't sleeping. I'm a 7-8 hour guy, and then I'm up. I was getting very, very I was getting great sleeps down there with zero need for a nap in the afternoon. I felt, and when I woke up in the morning, I felt just amazing. Like 5:15, 5:20, 5:30 in the morning, I get up and I go for my little walk. I felt so good down there.
Good for you.
So yeah. But I'm not a dream. I don't dream. I sleep so hard. I've been like that my whole life though. No, even when I drink, I sleep like a ton of bricks. Yeah,
you're a good dude that way. You can sleep. You're a lucky one. Sarah, listen, I want to thank you for backing up Lachlan's story, because if he came back with that story by himself, absolutely wouldn't believe him.
Yeah. That's what he said.
And it's sort of like admitting to like seeing Ogopogo or an alien. Like if you do it on your own, you're like, holy fuck, I can't tell anybody.
I don't believe in
about this.
Ogopogo, but I do believe in the Loch Ness Monster in Scotland.
I saw Ogopogo. I know that that's real. I did. I swear to God, I saw Ogopogo. Yeah, with my whole family. So I can tell people that because my entire family saw it when I was like 19. I'm like, do you guys see this? And they're like, yeah. And then Ogopogo was going through the thing. So I have no problem telling other people that I saw this crazy cow lake lizard going through this lake that's legendary and it's been around for 200 years. But I would have a problem coming back with a UFO story if someone like Sarah wasn't riding sidecar going, he's not crazy. I saw
One more thing.
It was very clear. Oh, yeah.
So one more thing, Sarah. Because a lot of people were asking if I was like doing peyote or doing some sort of, we were totally sober. We did not do any mushrooms, nothing. We
100%.
had no booze in us at all. Stone cold sober.
Yeah.
Yeah. Both.
Why don't I believe that? Actually, I do believe that because of where you were. I totally believe that. Yeah. Was it after the beer though? Was it after you guys went into town, or was it just?
No.
Okay. I'm just checking. I'm trying to cross all those excuses off. What's that?
Days we were sober leading up to that. Yeah.
The day that I got my first beer was the next day because that was the day off when we went into town. Yeah. And we had we did laundry, then we went for lunch, and I had a beer at lunch. That was the next day. How
delicious was that beer, by the way? Did you love it?
It was probably one of the best tasting beers I've ever had in my life.
Sarah, thank you for doing this. Really appreciate it. Great to meet you. If you see any more aliens, can you at least just try to grab your phone, take pictures, send it to us so we can.
For sure, I will. I'll be on Alien Watch.
What do you mean you didn't have time? Like, did you not think when you were looking at it? Were you too stunned to take a picture?
I was too stunned.
I was too stunned. I was just staring at it. I didn't even think to take a picture, actually.
That's what everybody says. That's why we don't have pictures of these things. I'm too stunned. All right. Thanks, Sarah. Great to see you.
Thank you so much for having me. Great to see you.
So good to see you, Sarah.
Yeah, you too, Locke.
Take care.
Awesome.
There you go. Sarah from Lachlan's yogi training seminar. It lasted 2 weeks. He's now a yoga teacher. Congratulations, dude. Like legitimately, congratulations. I'm really proud that you went and did that. Upskilled yourself. You know, life's tough. And you know what the thing is, I was reminded of that this morning. I don't know if you saw the news. Famed broadcaster, sportscaster, formerly of ITV. You might know him more familiarly from TSN's Sports Center. Darren DeTitian died yesterday.
What?
Yeah. Dutchie's dead.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. It was sad stuff. I was on online today and I had a look and Dutchie passed away yesterday. For everybody that knows him, there he is when he was on ITV. He was really funny. Him and Perry Salkowski. When I grew up and I was a young broadcaster, I used to watch these two guys do their thing. Very funny, very entertaining, very off the cuff. And he was and still is, if you ask me, the gold standard when it comes to sports broadcasting in this country. A couple of years ago, he was diagnosed with, I believe, prostate cancer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I do know he was given a cancer diagnosis. Yes.
Yeah, sure he was. And he actually came back and worked with his cancer. And I'll play a little clip. It's a fascinating clip because so many of us don't appreciate the things that we do, right? So when I watch this live, when him and Jennifer Hedger, who the gold standard when it comes to broadcasting, I think sports broadcasting in this country, both of them are the best sports broadcasting team, anchor team I've ever seen, north or south of the border.
Yeah.
And he came back and he came back with cancer to actually work. And I remember his first show back because you got to know Dutchie's going to be on the desk tonight. I'm like, oh my God, good. He's through his pancreatic or his prostate cancer treatment. Like he's through it. Right. He wasn't. And he worked and he talked about it. And I want to play this clip. This is his first show back after taking time off to have prostate cancer treatment.
I remember this actually.
And he kind of details, there's a reason why I'm playing this. He sort of details what it is that he was dealing with and why he's back at work. And unfortunately, a year later, obviously it all caught up with him. And unfortunately, Darren DeTitian passed away. But I want you to watch this. And I think there's a lot of people out there that'll benefit from seeing this. The strength of an individual with a smile on his face, coming back to work with really, as you listen to him, his body is riddled with cancer. And what was really important to him and why he wanted to come back. So this is Dutchie's first show back Darren Detition passed away at the age of 57 yesterday. Let's have a watch.
Last week she had an emergency appendectomy. I did not know if you would be doing the show with me tonight.
I wouldn't have missed it, buddy.
Honestly, a year ago, I didn't know if I'd be coming back. That's when it was diagnosed that I had cancer. And so then it started a whole arduous process. It had metastasized as prostate cancer, and it had gone through my body. Still is. It's not the kind of cancer where you ring a bell. So it's still in the base of my skull, my ribs, my legs, hips, and stuff like that. But it's treatable, and I feel really, really good. And the place that I feel best is right here. I've been practicing my highlights at home, I swear to God, in the morning. Absolutely, watching the morning loop. But then I get here and I'm like so nervous, and it's just like, but now it's, yeah, it's nice to get the first show.
You are the best in this country.
Thank you.
At this job.
I appreciate it.
With a bullet. Not even close.
And I would like to thank, if you don't mind for just 1 second, there's my doctor, Dr. Single, who's the lead. He's unbelievable, the real heroes of our country, and Dr. Smarajewicz, who is my oncologist. But, you know, you don't really think about him. Like, I had 54, 55 years of really good health, and then you really appreciate what they do and the people in your lives and what you get to do for a living. So it's fun. It's nice to be back. I love it.
Pal.
Dude,
we
it's the
missed
best.
you, pal.
It's the best. Come on.
Band's back together.
Let's go
Dutch is back in the house.
Let's go G-Man.
If the Giants win the Super Bowl this year, that'll really be something.
They're not winning the Super Bowl. They might not win another game, but I'm happy with a 2-0 start. Thanks for watching, folks.
Good night, gang.
Oh, there you go. There's Dan.
And thank you for playing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I do remember when Dutchie came back. That was, yeah. Good guy. He had such a great delivery.
Dude, when I was a kid, right, just getting into the business, I would like try to emulate him when I was just doing radio. Like you do a couple sports shows, and during this course of a week, you give a sports update. I would pretend to be him, I remember when he left ITV for Sports Center. Remember that, when he left to go to TSN, and I'm like, he made it to the big time. I always knew he was the best. It was awesome. I'm glad I copied one of the greatest of all time. And then he had a 30-year run at TSN. And it was about 10 years ago, I got an email from him. And it was awesome. It was like one of those emails. And I think we all have these people in our lives, professional careers, where you look at who it is really influenced you, right? Darren Detition really influenced me. Jerry Forbes really influenced me. There's a bunch of people that, are no longer in the business. We're really the gold standard of broadcasting in this country that you would emulate, right? That's what they would tell you to do in that business. You got to emulate these guys. And so Darren Detition was always larger than life for me. And he was so good at his job, and he was nails, dude. Like, he didn't fuck anything up ever. He was one of those broadcasters where you're like, how is he able to flow like that? And it's all teleprompter stuff, but he was the consummate professional at that job. And I know a lot of people know him, and no one ever had a bad word to say about him either. So, the legend of Darren Detition kind of preceded itself. So I get an email about 10 years ago, and he goes, "Hey, Dean, just wanted to let you know, Darren Detition, I wanted to tell you, you are without question, hands down, the gold standard at radio in this city and in this country. Really love your show. Really appreciate you." And I'll never forget what he said at the end of it. He was, "This is just a professional courtesy. Keep going." And I've gotten lots of emails. I've been top 40 under 40. I've gotten lots of bricks, bouquets, there's awards, all that. It doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters. That mattered to me that day more than anything.
Yeah.
That he took his time. This guy who I just thought was this legend, the apex of what our industry was at the time, who was nails, consistent. Like, you would watch him broadcast, and I wouldn't watch him for the personality stuff, even though his personality was larger than life, or his professionalism, which always blew me away. But that he brought it every single time and never took a day off. And the only way he could take a day off is to have cancer, right? And he took some time off to do that. But then he came back because he realized how good he was at his job. And I think we needed him. I think to have him come back and do that year or so of him with cancer in his ribs, the base of his skull, and his body, and it continued to work, because that's where he found himself, I thought was makes me emotional. I thought it was one of the most heroic things in the world. There are bylines and stories of things that we see that go on around us that affect us. the death of Darren Detition affects me today. And I think, the fucking weird part is at the age of 57, I'm 51. The weird part is that, I watched that man heroically go through the exercises of doing his job, right? Just doing his job and not be anything other than what that was, right? And I thought to myself, man, oh man, this could end any time. What are we doing? What am I doing? What am I doing with my life? What am I doing with the content and the avenue that I have to share information with people? What am I doing? Yelling, screaming, jumping up and down, looking for attention. What am I doing? Why with the limited time that we have left, spend it in hateful content? And I think that there's a better way, and and it's not, obviously I don't know the man. I've never really met Darren Detition other than some brief exchanges. And it bothers me because I thought to myself today, even just seeing that information that he passed away and how he lived his life to the end, consistently, professionally, for other people, in an entertaining way with no flies on him, right? He didn't go after people. He was always kind. You don't meet anybody who knows Darren Detition who says, Darren Detition is a bad person. He's a great guy. He's loved by everybody. Everybody that knows him is loved by him. And I thought, he and everybody like him that are capable of being able to deliver content and to still be an authentic human being. And the way he lived his life and how people looked at him, that's his legacy. And that was all character. And there's no character in hate content. There's no character in anger. There's no character in beating each other up. And Darren had a laundry list of friends, and the reputation he has in this industry as a person supersedes the reputation he had as a broadcaster. So, yeah, I mean, RIP to Mr. Detition and his family. Everybody that worked with him, I think CTV and TSN are going to be doing a week-long series this week talking about how much he meant to them. And if you think about him and his family, it's the death of one of Canada's most influential broadcasters, but it's the death of obviously one of the most incredible people. If you ask anybody who knows him, who always took time out to make other people laugh, make their lives feel worth living. He always built into people. It's one of the great things that people say about Darren Detition is that, he would always make you feel better, and being around Darren made you feel better. And that's the challenge that I took from, watching him, right? Or knowing things about him and people that you admire in this business. You admire the reputation of a guy like that and you want to be like that. So I think there's a challenge for a lot of people when you see someone like that, who's around your age, who passes away, where you say to yourself, my God, what am I doing? Right. Anyway, it's not about me. It's about Darren Detition and his family at Bell, TSN, CTV, and I wish him and his family and all of his friends, colleagues, all the people that worked with Darren. And if he was able to touch me the way he touched me with one email and a couple of brief exchanges, and if he was able to do that, like, imagine how much he meant to so many people who actually knew him, as well as, family, friends, colleagues, coworkers. Can't imagine the size of the loss in people's hearts today. So rest in peace and power, Mr. Darren Detition. Sad shit.
One of the things that I think we can take from his career and his delivery is that I got a sense, and I think anybody that watched Darren Dutchie got a sense of who he was just by how he presented the sports. So that authenticity, that piece, that thing that we all question when we step in front of these mics, I think he had that in spades. He was comfortable with who he was. That was obvious. And he was okay about sharing who he was. That was obvious as well. And we're sorely missing that in many, many, many levels of the broadcast world. And he didn't let the business beat that out of him, because he was right to the end. He was truly authentic truly himself. And you got the sense that you could sit down and watch an Oilers game with that man, and have a couple of laughs just by watching him on TV. So,
Well
I
said.
didn't hear that he passed away, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up today. Thank you.
Man, there's things that matter and things that don't. Like, we can chase each other around and tell each other that we're wrong, and we can all advocate for this, and we can tell people that we're that, and we can hurt each other. Man, I'm done with it. You know, it's too much. It's too much. It's too much to not. You see a man live his life like that, and you see the way he goes out, and you're like, nah, that's enough, right? It's enough of the craziness. It's enough of the anger. Go be authentically yourself. Create, help, build. Don't tear down. That's what Darren did with everybody around him. I know so many people that know him. He would build people up around him. People had to be around him. He was like this life force.
And find people in your life that do that for you, right?
Absolutely, super. Important.
And make sure you cherish those relationships. If you've got somebody in your life that you can be your true self around, that's more important than any social media.
The funny value that we put on work, right?
Yeah,
the funny value that we put on this thing to who we are. I know why Darren went back and worked with cancer. I think I know why. Because that was his home, right? Those are his people. It's what he does, and he knew what was going on. If you ask me, I think he probably knew, and he wanted to. Hey, what do you want your life to look like for the next, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, however long you're able to endure? And he's like, I want it to be like I lived, right? And I hope everybody feels that way today. I hope we all take a minute to think about our own mortality today and the kind of individual we want to be to experience happiness in this life. I don't know anybody that doesn't say the same thing about Darren. He's the happiest guy in the world because he was authentically himself all the time. Yeah. He gave of himself. He would not just give himself to produce and consistently be the gold standard of what he did, which if you understand the grind of live broadcasting, 30 years, that is impossible. What he did was impossible. The way he lived was impossible. And he made everybody around him feel 10 feet tall. That is someone to be admired. Mm-hmm. That is someone to pattern your life after. And that is the way to live. And it is also the way to die. There are so many people who are afraid of death. I'm not one of them. I'm afraid of not living anymore. You know what I mean?
I do.
And he lived exactly as he wanted to live. And I appreciate him. And I think everybody should take a minute today. So anyway, I hope you do. Big fella.
That's a good way to wrap up.
Have a great day. Thanks for doing this. Always brought to you by our friends at Ardent Roof Systems. We're still doing this golf tournament on the 5th of July. Is that what we're doing? Am I coming there still? I was just in Calgary, by the way. Yeah.
You're coming. You're coming. We're going to auction off a chance to golf with the two of us.
I wouldn't miss it.
Yes. The webpage, ardentroofsystems.com. There's the information there on how to sign up. If you're looking for a quote or if you're looking for somebody to come by and look at something that's going on with the roof as well in the Edmonton area, give Stacy and the gang a call. I don't think I'm supposed to talk about this, but there's a conversation about him expanding in Alberta. He's doing so well. So we'll leave it at that. Okay. But yeah, Ardent Roof Systems, the best golf tournament of the summer. You do not want to miss out. Join Dean and I. It is at the Ranch Golf and Country Club. Great course. Famous steak dinner at the end of the night. And actually, if you do come out, I've got a setup, and we're going to be able to broadcast live that morning before we go out. So I want to do
a little podcast, a little live. Yeah, done. I'm in. I'm all over it. We'll do a live podcast from the ranch in Edmonton, Alberta. I was just there in Calgary for 4 days. I love the province of Alberta. I can't wait to get back to experience the dry heat. This is all I'm saying. There's going to be a dry heat this summer.
There's something about the heat. Yeah. All right. At ardentroofsystems.com. Sign up for the roof for the golf tournament. Okay.
Yeah. Sign up for the golf tournament and donate if you can. Stollery Child Life program is what all the money goes to. They've been doing it for 4 or 5 years. Special thank you to all of our partners and friends today, including Fact Check, our ladies over at Muse, and of course, Colin from Cantork. We'll leave you today with we just played you. Things are more important than. There are days where things that are more important than internet commerce. This is one of those days. with that Darren Detition clip with him and Jennifer Hedger. I think it's one of the most beautiful clips I've ever seen. Watch it.
Listen, last week she had an emergency appendectomy. I did not know if you would be doing the show with me tonight.
I wouldn't have missed it, buddy.
Honestly, a year ago, I didn't know if I'd be coming back. That's when it was diagnosed that I had cancer. And so then it started a whole arduous process. It had metastasized as prostate cancer, and it had gone through my body, still is. It's not the kind of cancer where you ring a bell. So it's still in the base of my skull, my ribs, my legs, hips, and stuff like that. But it's treatable, and I feel really, really good. And the place that I feel best is right here. I've been practicing my highlights at home, I swear to God, in the morning.
On.
Absolutely, watching the morning loop. But then I get here and I'm like so nervous, and it's just like, but now it's, yeah, it's nice to get the first show.
You are the best in this country.
Thank you.
At this job.
I appreciate it.
With a bullet, not even close.
And I would like to thank, if you don't mind for just 1 second, there's my doctor, Dr. Single, who's the lead. He's unbelievable. The real heroes of our country, and Dr. Smarajewicz, who is my oncologist. But, you know, you don't really think about him. Like, I had 54, 55 years of really good health, and then you really appreciate what they do and the people in your lives and what you get to do for a living. So it's fun. It's nice to be back.
We
I
missed
love
you,
it.
pal.
Dude,
We
it's the
missed
best.
you, pal.
It's the best. Come
the
on.
band's back together.
Let's
Dutch
go
is back in the
Giants.
house.
Let's go G-Man.
If the Giants win the Super Bowl this year, that'll really be
They
something.
won another game.